The following thrilling story is presented for your enjoyment. This classic work is now in the public domain, making it freely available to be shared and appreciated by all. Some elements may appear outdated or insensitive by today's standards, but we present this work in its original form to preserve its historical context and literary significance. Sit back, relax, and indulge in this timeless tale. Please like, comment, subscribe, and share. Every bit helps this channel grow.
Out of the Grave by Unknown from Beware, Number 10, July 1954. When the moon calls, she digs. The macabre practice of robbing tombs, not for the purpose of despoiling the dead of their gold or jewels, but with the intent of dragging the moldering corpses from their cold, clammy resting places, has given civilized society cause for concern from earliest times. Man's feeble grasp for immortality has always spurred him to erect safe, secure resting places for his earthly remains. The lowly peasant covered the bones of his loved ones with a stone slab, while the noble and wealthy erected vast mausoleums, wherein huge blocks of granite and secret passages were supposed to protect for all time the cadavers that reposed therein. What makes a living being disturb the sleep of the dead? Many abnormal, crooked minds have turned to this sinister activity, and to this day, we do not know what induces this horrible affinity for the dry corpses of departed persons. Probably one of the strangest cases occurred in Europe some years ago, when it was the known practice of medical students to disinter dead bodies for the purpose of study. But this time, they were not guilty. When the outraged relatives of dead persons whose graves had been desecrated stormed the police station at Thusis, Switzerland, and revealed to the astonished authorities that 11 corpses were missing from the age-old graveyard, it started a fierce battle between medicine and the law. Naturally, the police declared, the bodies could have been stolen only by medical students. They declared their intentions of dealing severely with the first medical student caught, despite vigorous protestations from the school faculty. For almost a month, the feud continued, and there wasn't a young medical student who didn't believe he was constantly being watched. In the graveyard, police doubled their watches and set all manner of traps for the ghoul. But it was not until 3 months had passed that they received the surprise of their lives. There was a full moon that night, and it was one of those nights when the air is warm and fragrant, just the kind of night to induce somnolence. Consequently, when a guard in his assigned portion of the graveyard saw a fragile, willowy young girl making her way among the graves, a wicker basket in her hand, he stared in stupefaction. Was he dreaming? Was he seeing a ghost? He could not be sure, so, taking a tighter grip on his gun, he drew back into the shadows of a protecting tree while he studied the situation. The guard held his breath and watched intently as the nocturnal visitor drew a short-handled spade from the wicker basket. With a burst of fury, she attacked the grave, the metal face of her spade ringing as it struck pebbles and small stones. Cautiously, the guard moved toward the apparition, carefully and silently picking his steps through the dew-damp grass. Fearing to take a shot, lest his bullet injure the fragile figure, he crept closer and closer to the digging girl, who did not seem aware of his presence. Finally, he made a jump and grabbed her. "Flesh and blood," he muttered. "She's real. He stared. Why, he knew this girl. She was a local girl, named Marta Mulsberg. Suddenly, the girl screamed in terror. "Where am I?" she cried out. The scream brought the other guards on the run. They gathered around and soon agreed on a solution that cleared up the mystery. Sleepwalking, they said. But that was not all. When the girl was brought to the police station, the chief remembered her only too well. 3 times she had come to the authorities, claiming guilt for the robbing of the graves. She had told them that when she had awakened in the morning, she had found bones in her room. The officials had laughed, claiming that she must have raided her own icebox. They didn't laugh now. A trip to Marta's home disclosed the 11 missing corpses, and each time, the astonished authorities discovered the bodies had been disinterred and transported to the girl's home on nights when the moon was full. Science itself stepped forward on Marta's behalf the day following her arrest, with an explanation based on long research, which proved that sleepwalkers, unlike dreamers, just do not remember anything about their acts. Perhaps the embarrassment of their position, having had a confessed ghoul in their grasp and only laughed at her, may have had something to do with the authorities' leniency in exonerating the girl. At any rate, the depredations stopped, and Marta returned to her normal routine of life, for otherwise she had a perfectly clean record and was well liked in the village. Nevertheless, on nights when the moon was full and the branches of the willows in the graveyard sighed in the breeze, as if to give voice to the slumbering dead below, keen eyes kept guard on Marta's house to see that she did not yield again to her impelling rendezvous with the decaying remains of the long dead in their dank chambers of eternity. Marta's actions, scientists stated, were spurred on by some deep-seated mental or emotional disorder, which she always threw off when awake, going about her daily chores completely unaware that she had been guilty of any abnormal behavior the night before. But what was at the base of this foul urge? What made this otherwise dainty young girl rise from her cot in the dead of night and make her way like a furtive thing to the gloomy shadows of the local cemetery, there to unearth the putrefying corpses from their graves and carry the grisly burden on her frail shoulders back to the warmth of her own home? Could it be that some of us cannot suppress the remembrance of another world whence we came?